didn't want to tell you the truth, but I'm a drug trafficker and I was never in the military and that's how I made my money. And I had to make a run right quick. So I took your car to traffic drugs with Adora. And this is another story time. Before we get started, let me tell you what I'm drinking. I am drinking my mango wine from the last video. It is quite delicious. If anyone would like to know the exact name of this wine, please let me know and I will link it below. I think I got it from Trader Joe's or Aldi, one of those, I can't remember. But anyway, so we have another story time, and this is another story time that involves a man, a trifling ass man at that. All right, so I told you guys my 20s was wild, right? Okay, so this video is kind of too many story times in one. Well, one is the main story, but then I have another story that happened while this story happened. So I'm going to tell you both of these guys. So I met this guy when I was at Savannah State University. So I did my freshman and my sophomore year at Savannah State University, and then I did my junior and senior year at Georgia State University, which is where I graduated from. So if you don't know anything about Savannah, Georgia, it is about 4 hours away from Atlanta. It is a smaller city. It's not extremely country, but it is a smaller city than Atlanta, right? So I was raised outside of Atlanta. So I was raised in metro Atlanta, in the suburbs, like 15, 20 minutes from downtown Atlanta. So when I first went to college, right, I was like super suburban. The first time I ever heard a Little John and the East Side Boys song was when I went to Savannah State. Savannah State is a HBCU. So I went from, at that time, my school was predominantly white. We had a lot of black people, a lot of black kids there, but pretty much I grew up around white people. So going to the HBCU was like a major change, right? I was just so naive, so wet behind the ears, whatever you want to call it. I was young at the time. So anyways, fast forward to sophomore year, 2002. At this time, I was 19 years old. So when I graduated from high school, my parents said they were going to buy me a car, any car that I wanted. So again, I got my car second semester of my freshman year, because first semester we weren't allowed to have cars on campus, I don't think. So my parents had bought me a Mazda 626 with a sunroof. It was really, really nice. It had a 6-disc changer. It was only 4 years old. So I am like doing it, y'all, right? Love that car. It was like a dark green. I had the windows tinted. So anyways, freshman year, I lived in the dorms. Sophomore year, I moved to the apartments, which were on campus, right? So Savannah State is the type of campus where people drive through that campus all the time. Like people who don't go to that school, people who work in that area, they drive through because they cut through the campus so they can get to Tybee Island, because we were really close to Tybee Island. So we pretty much had an open campus. So I used to go to the basketball games and stuff. So I went to one of the basketball games and I met this guy. His name was Corey. And y'all, he was so fine. Okay, so back then, I was into light-skinned dudes. So he was light-skinned. He had tattoos everywhere. We were the same age. He had goals in his mouth. Now, mind you, y'all, I am 19 at the time, fresh out the suburbs. So, of course, that's the type of guy I'm going to go for, because those kind of guys weren't around when I was growing up or whatever. So we met. He was a Chathamite. That's what we used to call him. Savannah is in Chatham County, so we would call the locums there Chathamites. I think that's offensive. I would never say that now. But anyways, he did not go to the school. But like I said, people would always be on our campus and people would come to the games and stuff. So his name was Corey. We met, super cute guy, very, very nice. So I thought. So we started dating, and he would always spend time at my apartment. I had 3 other roommates. So he would always come to my apartment. We would spend time together. We was thick as thieves. Like, we was hanging out like all the time. So now he had a Mustang. He had a really nice car, and he said that he was in the military, and this is how, he had all of this money and all of these nice things or whatever. Okay, cool, whatever. So we get really, really close. So as we're dating, I would say maybe like a month into we're dating, he ends up losing his car. So he told me he wrecked his car. So I would take him to work, baby boy style. So I would take him to work or whatever, drop him off, and for the most part, like, he was pretty much spending a lot of time in my apartment. He lived by himself, but he would spend a lot of time in my apartment because he didn't have his car. So I would take him back and forth and stuff like that. So it was right before finals, maybe like 2 weeks before finals. He asked me, could he use my car? Now, mind you, my parents were paying the car, right? So the car was in my parents' name. It was my car, but the car was in their name. The license plate, registration, everything was in my parents' name. So my parents would always tell me, like, don't let nobody drive your car, because if something happens, that's going to come back to us. Don't let nobody drive your car. So me being 19 at the time, we don't listen to people. I didn't listen to my parents. So he needed to use my car to go to work. So I don't know how he convinced me, but I let him drive my car to go to work. Y'all, I never saw that car again. To this day, I don't know what happened to that car. So let me tell you guys. So, when he was supposed to get off like around 8 or so, about 8:30, I don't hear from him. I'm getting nervous because he has my car. So I'm calling. He's not answering the phone. So I'm calling all night. He doesn't call me back till that morning. And I'm like, yo, where is my car? Like, where are you? And he ends up telling me that he had to get the car towed because something happened with the car, mechanical, and he was getting it fixed. But he wouldn't tell me where he was getting it fixed. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense because, and I'm trying to remember the story, y'all. My memory is real bad. This was so long ago. So I'm like, that car is like a brand new car. There should be nothing wrong with that car. But I think he said he ran over something and busted the oil pan or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to at least tell me where the car is because I need to be able to see my car. Like, my parents are paying the car note on this car. Now, mind you, my parents don't know at this time. So days go by. He keeps telling me that the car's in the shop. He won't tell me where the car is. So my best friend, Rachel at the time, my best friend Ray at the time was dating this older lady, and she was from Savannah. And so she was like, okay, come on, let's ride out to his house. Let's see if your car is at his house. We go to his house, the car is not there. So Savannah's kind of small, but not that small. But she's like, well, let's go around to some of the garages, like some of the mechanic shops, and see if we see your car. Going around, we don't see the car. So at this time, it's like a week later, he's still calling me and stuff like that, keeps giving me excuses. And I'm like, listen, can you at least bring me my books? Because, we have final exams coming up and all of my books were in my trunk. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to bring you your books or whatever. Okay. So I think he brought me my books. I think somebody drove him to bring me my books. So he brought me my books. Again, y'all, I can't remember exactly, but I was so stupid at the time. I should have whooped his ass when I saw him. But he brought me my books or whatever. He assured me that the car was getting worked on. He would bring me my car back. Okay. So, here's the other little mini story time. So at this time, my car is gone. I don't have my car. I don't know where my car is. I'm scared as hell. Okay, because how you going to tell your parents that your car is gone. So I am like scared as hell. He keeps telling me that he's going to be bringing my car back. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell my parents. I don't want my parents to know. So anyway, so since I don't have a car, I end up walking to the store because I need to get something to eat. Now, the way Savannah State is, there's a big field. Well, how it was, there was a big field and there was a Kroger right across the street. And it was kind of like this fence thing in front of the field of the school. So it's about 7 o'clock. It's not dark yet, but it's kind of getting dark. And I'm walking to the store by myself. And again, it's right across the street. And I see this guy sitting on the fence with his shirt off. But me being naive, I see him, but I don't see him, if that makes any sense. So it didn't strike my mind to pay attention to this dude. So I'm walking to the store. So I have my bags. I walk from the store, get all my groceries, and I have like 3 bags. And I'm walking back across the field. And there is this wall type thing. And all of a sudden, the guy that was sitting on the fence, he comes from behind the wall. And he's like, give me all your money. And I'm like, what? And he's like, give me all your money. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm trying to talk to him, right? Being stupid because you don't know what you're going to do in that situation. And so then, this is the funny part. My friends always laugh at this. It wasn't funny at the time. So then I guess I wasn't moving fast enough to give him my money because I was in shock. And he hits me in my head, like right here, like bam, hits me in my head with a cell phone. Now, y'all, this is 2002. Back then, the cell phones was big as hell, okay? If you're old enough to remember what cell phones looked like back then, they was not like the cell phones today. These cell phones was like, I can't describe, but they was big as hell and heavy. Like them old Kia Nokias back in the day. If you of age, then you know what I'm talking about. So when he hits me, the force that he hit me with in the phone, it knocks me on the ground. So I fall on the ground, my bags fall everywhere. Now, mind you, I only have like $6, $7. So I give him my money or whatever. And then he proceeds to say, I don't know if I can cuss. I think I can, but I'm not going to. So he's like, damn. Well, that was a curse word. But he was like, damn, so now I want to F-U-C-K. And I'm like, oh, no. Basically, he wanted to rape me. And at this point, that's when I was like, oh, no, we're going to have to fight. No. So then I started crying to him and begging him. I'm like, oh, my God, please don't take me. Please don't rape me. I have been through so much. Now, mind you, I'm trying to reason with this person that just robbed me. True story. I'm like, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. My car has been stolen. I don't know where my car is. This is such a bad. So then, what kind of criminal are you? He starts to feel bad because he sees me crying. And he's like, man, I'm sorry. You want your money back? No lie, y'all. So I'm like, go ahead and keep the money. You just knocked me in my head with a cell phone. It's only $12. If it's that serious, keep the money. So the guy lets me go. So I get back to my apartment. I'm crying. I think my roommates were there. And they were like, let's go to the police station. So we go to the on-campus police station. Give them this description. Let them know I was robbed on campus. Mind you, I got this big-ass knot on my head from this big-ass cell phone that he hit me with. So I was just, at this point, I'm just like over it. So fast forward a few days later, I'm still in communication with my ex. At this point, I'm like, okay, you need to be honest with me. My car is not in the shop. What the hell happened to my car? Because if it was in the shop, you would have, took me to the shop or told me the name of the shop. So then he proceeds to tell me that he's in Florida. I forgot what part of Florida. Now, mind you, Florida is close to Savannah, right? So he's like, to be honest with you, I didn't want to tell you the truth, but I'm a drug trafficker and I was never in the military and that's how I made my money. And I had to make a run right quick. So I took your car to traffic drugs. What? Okay, so where's my car? Bring it back. And he's like, well, the story I told you about running over something, the oil pan, that really did happen, but your car is in a hotel parking lot in Florida, just sitting there. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get it fixed or how I'm going to get it back. So I'm like, okay, well, you need to tell me the name of the hotel. So he tells me the name of this bogus hotel. I call the hotel and the car is not there. Now, mind y'all, I'm scared as hell. My parents still do not know. When I tell y'all, I went without my car for a whole month before I had to break down and tell my parents. Mind you, I had finals around this time. It was stressful as hell. Thankfully, he had brought me my books. So at this time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to go to the police because, you know, he's playing games. So I go to the campus police or whatever. I file a police report. And I wanted to lie because I didn't want my parents, I wanted my parents to think my car was stolen, right? I didn't want to tell the truth and be like, I let this person borrow my keys. So I think I had told the police that he stole my keys and took my car. And I gave them all the information that I knew about him. Mind you, the police ended up finding out that he lied about his name. His name was not Corey. Y'all, me and criminals, I promise I don't date criminals no more. My boyfriend is like the most upstanding citizen ever. So I find out his real name is like Kinu or something like that. And he was in the system. I saw his mug shots. Child, he had been in jail for all kind of stuff. So I ended up having to call my parents, and that was the worst conversation in my life. Now, mind you, me and my dad are like super duper close. Soon as I told my parents that my boyfriend stole my car, my dad hung up in my face. Now, my dad has never hung up in my face. Like, me and my dad are like best friends. So now I'm like, oh. So my parents like, okay, we coming to get you because you wilding out in Savannah. We're bringing your ass back home. So my parents came to get me. It was the worst 4-hour drive ever because my parents did not speak to me. Because you got to think, like, we don't know what this guy could have did in that car. You know what I mean? Like, that would have came back to my parents. Had he committed a crime or something and somebody got the tag number and ran it, it would have came back to my parents. And then my parents were mad because they're like, we're paying on this car. We have insurance on a car. And this car has been missing for a whole entire month. Anything could have happened within this time. Like, you should have told us as soon as this dude took your car and didn't bring it back. But my thing was, I was convinced that he was going to give me my car back. Like, I was talking to him this whole month. Like, he kept stringing me along, saying he was going to bring my car back. And so that's how I ended up coming back. So I couldn't go back to Savannah, of course, because my parents was like, no, you're not going back down there. I think my dad didn't speak to me for like a few months. Like, yeah. And ended up transferring to Georgia State. And I'm trying to think. My next car, I ended up buying my own car. Y'all, I'm 37 and I've had like 8 cars. But I think my next car, I ended up buying. Some of my other cars, my parents did end up buying me more cars after that. But yeah, it was a crazy story. And you know what, y'all? I'm going to have to look him up because I think I remember. I want to say Corey was his middle name. And I think I know his full name. So when I get off here, I'm going to look his ass up and see if he's in jail. Because I'm sure he's a lifetime criminal. I'm sure he got a bunch of mug shots. But yeah, so that's what happened. And till this day, I don't even remember if they ended up catching him. I'm sure they probably did because he probably committed another crime. And to this day, y'all, I don't know what happened to that car. I never found out. What happened to that car. I know that he took the car. He had drugs and he was drug trafficking and he took my car. But why he didn't bring it back to this day, I don't know. I don't know if he freaking sold the car to a chop shop or something. I don't know what happened to that car. But anyways, I guess the moral of this story is make sure y'all know who y'all dating. don't let anybody use your car. Even if the person doesn't take it to Florida or Miami or whatever to drug traffic, they could get into an accident or something, and that's going to come back on you. Or if you don't really know that person, they may commit a crime, and it's going to come back on you. And always listen to your parents. Like, I know now, but parents really do know what the hell they be talking about. It took me a long time to get to that point, but they do. So, that's another crazy story time. True story, really happened. So yeah, leave your comments below. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more content. And I hope you guys enjoyed this crazy story time. Bye.